Alright, welcome back. Might have been confusing in the first video of what I wanted you to do. So you should have watched that, filled in the notes, and now we're going to look at the worksheet and try to practice those vocab words that we also talked about yesterday in class. So if we read the instructions, it says identify each pair of angles as either corresponding, alternate interior, same side interior, vertical, or adjacent. So let's talk about what each of those mean again. For corresponding angles, that means they are that F shape in our parallel lines. They are matching locations. Alternate interior means they form the Z shape in our parallel lines. That means they are still inside the parallel lines but on opposite sides of the transversal. Same side interior form that U shape, right? And they are still inside the parallel lines, but on the same side of the transversal. Vertical are only on one of the parallel lines, so they're not on opposite sides. And they actually form an X if we color it in, and I'm not too sure if I talked about this in all of the classes. And then lastly, our adjacent angles are just right next to each other at an intersection point. And if we look at it, they actually form a T. So let's just do number one together. If we color in the rays of angle Y and in angle X, notice how I didn't go all the way, I just went a little bit. This forms the letter X. I also know that these angles are across from each other, which is another way to say vertical, right? So these angles are vertical angles from each other, which we know are congruent. So we said corresponding are congruent, alternate interior are congruent, same side interior are supplementary, vertical are congruent, and adjacent are also supplementary. You'll prove these later. We already proved and explained stuff about vertical and adjacent, but today in the next video you'll talk about proving corresponding alternate and same side interior. So that's how we would do number one. Number 9, we have to use those properties. So first we have to see 31 and the question mark angle form a letter X. So again, this would be vertical angles, which means they are congruent. So we would do question mark equals 131, and that's all the work we have to do. If you have something that's supplementary, you might have to subtract from 180. And then if we look at number 19, we won't do it all the way, but I'll talk to you about how to do it. So again, we look at our angle. So here's the angle that's labeled 23x minus 5. Here's the angle that's labeled 22x. If I connect the lines, that definitely looks like an F, which means these are corresponding, which means these are congruent. So again, fortunately, you didn't see another type of example, but again, we have congruence, so we can set these equal to each other, and then you can take it from here to actually solve for X, and then plug that back in to figure out how big 22x is in degrees. So make sure you solve it all the way and figure out how many degrees